Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. In today's video, we are doing a reading and energy update for our beautiful collective here on YouTube. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you are resonating with this reading, there will be an extended version of the reading available through either Patreon or YouTube memberships. And you can listen from either place using the link in the pinned comment or description box underneath the video. If you do join the memberships, you get access to 3 exclusive extended videos I channel just for members on either Patreon or YouTube every single week. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the traditional tarot cards. But before I get into the messages, there are a few things that I have been receiving. And one is that I'm picking up on quite a bit of triggering. And I actually specifically feel that there is something about your energy that you are emanating right now that is triggering a lot of different people, dynamics, or situations. But when I use that word triggering, I am not just speaking it to the negative. I don't just mean that you are triggering someone to the negative, although that could be happening where, yes, in some cases, you are illuminating shadows within others or patterns of unconsciousness within others. But I'm also speaking to the positive forms of triggering where you trigger or activate someone to a higher version of themselves, where you inspire them to a higher version of themselves in some kind of way. And the thing I'm getting is that a lot of this is happening behind the scenes. So ways that you are triggering others to the positive and ways you are doing that to the negative both seem to be happening in a very subtle way that you may not necessarily be fully consciously aware of, although I am hearing that you see evidence of it from time to time. I am actually getting something as well about your eyes and how, I don't know why this feels very specific, but I feel that there are instances where you pass someone like on the street, or you see someone in a crowd, or you're in a conversation with someone and you make eye contact with them. And because the eyes are the windows to the soul, as the cliche goes, but there is a lot of actual spiritual truth to that cliche as well, because the eyes are one way in which we are able to transmit our core soul frequency. And the voice is another, of course, and there are many ways we can transmit energy, but the voice, the vocal tone, and the eyes are 2 of the main ways that we can easily transmit our frequency and our energy. And I'm getting that there is this purity about your energy, and it's specifically like the kind of energy that flows from your heart chakra. Your heart is very open, and people can sense this through your voice, and they can also see it through your eyes, especially when you make eye contact with them. And so I'm picking up instances where part of how you trigger others in a, well, I guess positive or negative way, may be through eye contact. There may be people who avoid making eye contact with you because they are feeling a lot of their own shadow and unconscious patterns triggered and brought to the surface through that eye contact I'm hearing. They may not want to be seen in some sense. There are others who feel like an instant surge of love or inspiration or a higher level of connectedness to the divine or to their own inner self, which in a way are equivalent because the divine is within each and every one of us at our core. But it's like when they make eye contact with you, they're triggered to deepen that connection, or there's this surge or uptick of positive energy that floods through their system because of the energy that they are sensing through what you are transmitting through your eyes. So I know that this may sound very strange, but I also feel it may be connecting with a specific group of people here. But I am picking up as well that when we talk about this negative triggering, you may have certain people who I'm hearing seem to actively misunderstand you. And what I'm getting is that the more powerful and expansive you become, the brighter your energy becomes, the more that people who are holding unconscious shadow are going to feel triggered by your essence, because power is polarizing. The more powerful you become as a spiritual being here on this earth, the more polarizing you become. And I mean that in both directions. So you will magnetize in more intense, positive attention, admiration, love from people who can connect with you in your frequency, but you will equally attract in very triggered negative reactions, jealousy, projections, like scathing remarks or anger from people who feel too seen in your light, who feel as though you are illuminating things within them that they don't want to look at, that they may not even be conscious of, to the point where, I mean, this can happen completely unconsciously, where someone just reacts to your energy. I saw another creator on Instagram, which, by the way, I do have an Instagram. It is at Magnetize Yourself. If you aren't following me yet there, I just did a post on Instagram today that I'm hoping we will get into either in today's reading or in another mini reading that I sometimes like to do between these collective reading videos. And this post was on the 3D versus 4D versus 5D when it comes to manifesting. This post was really meaningful for me because it actually puts together a lot of the collective energy shifts that I've been picking up on, but also personally experiencing myself, because I am walking this journey along with all of you. And I saw many of your beautiful comments, and I've been responding to the comments as I can underneath that post. And many of you were sharing your resonance with this concept of shifting from more of a 3D based way of manifesting to the 4D to the 5D. So yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that post. If you do have an Instagram, feel free to drop me a comment there. I will try to read it if I get a chance. But yeah, hopefully we can discuss this a bit later on. I feel like this is going to weave into everything we've been talking about, but it's a whole separate conversation. But anyway, I do post information, text posts. I like to repost inspiring things as well on my Instagram to uplift your vibration all day long. So on Instagram, I saw a reel from someone, and they said that the brighter that your light becomes, the more you become kind of like an exorcist for other people energetically, in terms of like when someone is negatively being controlled by a thought or a limiting belief system or a fear that they have within themselves. It's like you just being around them triggers that spirit of fear or of lack or whatever that is within them. It triggers it. It irritates that spirit. So it's almost like it's not even the person themselves, not in their true core authentic state reacting to you, as much as it is the triggered spirit within them reacting to your energy. That's why I say this can be so unconscious, but also, although it is very difficult if you're going through it, the best thing you can do is do your best to pay it no mind and to not take it personally. Now, I know from my own personal experience that this is way easier said than done, because we all are human. And of course, we have human reactions to things that happen, especially when people react against us. But truly, people who are triggered by you or reacting against you, they're not reacting to you. It is the spirit of fear or of lack or like a lower vibrational energy within them that is getting triggered and irritated by a spirit of love and light and inspiration and thriving and abundance that is within you. And it's so helpful for us to reaffirm that to ourselves, especially in cases like this where someone does get triggered by us in some kind of way. I just get this sense of you attracting very, very strong reactions from other people, like really intense, almost like obsessive admiration, but also really intense negativity as well. And it can be so human to want to dwell in those negative reactions, or at least try to like integrate them in some way. Like, is this person saying something I need to take as advice? And the thing I'm getting here is your intuition has been telling you just to pay it no mind, to just like, if it's a comment, just to ignore it. If it's something someone says to you, just to not react to it. Because what I'm getting is your intuition knows that these individuals aren't coming from a place of love or a place of wanting to have a discussion, that there is simply this unconscious triggering that is happening within them, if I can find the right words, that is happening within them, that is taking place within them. And so no amount of you explaining themselves is going to resolve this within them. It's like they have to be put into their own kind of like internal echo chamber to hear and to see themselves more clearly in order to make a shift within into a different kind of energy in themselves. But they're looking to just kind of vent some of that triggered energy by projecting it towards you. And for your part, what I'm getting is you have to understand that you're only going to continue to get more powerful, to get bigger, energetically speaking, to get more expansive, to get more heart open, to get more inspiring and abundant and thriving and successful. And because of that, there are going to be those increasingly polarized reactions to you, both to the positive and to the negative. But focusing on the negative reactions will actually slow down your process. Of course, nothing can stop your process of expansion, but whenever you feed energy into those negative dynamics or people who are reacting against you, you're leaking your energy in a way. And it prevents you from continuing to ride that wave of momentum into your own higher levels of happiness, fulfillment, success, abundance, connection, creativity, love, all of those things. I'm hearing you can create your own reality to order exactly as you want it to be, but you can't create in someone else's reality. If someone is choosing to live in a reality of fear or lack or pessimism, you can't go into their reality and shift them out of it for them. They have to do that for themselves. But you can focus, and you are focusing. I see that you've been focusing on creating this reality of abundance and joy and fulfillment for yourself. And that's all that really matters here. How you are experiencing and perceiving this beautiful reality that you get to experience, even if people do react against it, even if no one else fully understands it, even if there are people who are triggered seeing you live in that kind of reality, you still have the agency and power to create that for yourself. And when you do that, you inspire people to their own freedom, to their own higher levels of success and happiness and love for themselves, whatever that looks like for them, however they define that personally. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, I know I said a while ago we were going to shuffle the cards, but I really am going to start shuffling now. We just kind of got down a little bit of a rabbit hole there, although I feel it was really important for someone to hear. Now, of course, I usually say this at the beginning, but always be sure to only take what does resonate for you personally and leave the rest here. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about what I was talking about on Instagram when it comes to 3D versus 4D versus 5D manifestation. So I am going to kind of be pulling up my post here for reference. And I'm going to be referencing it a bit, but essentially, if you are connecting with this video, what I sense is that you are one who has really firmly been in this, and I just saw the number 444, beautiful sign of alignment. You've firmly been in this state of 5D manifestation for quite some time. Now, something to understand about the 3D versus the 4D versus the 5D is you can manifest effectively at any of these 3 levels, but the process looks different. The energy behind it looks different. And really, even the way you experience the outcomes of those manifestations feels different depending on which level you are manifesting from. Something else to understand here is you can't really skip levels. So if you are connecting with this video, most likely you started, well, we all start at a level that's really below 3D manifestation, which is living unconsciously in the 3D. So at the 3D level of consciousness, when we're more tied into the matrix, there are people who are living totally unconsciously, just completely succumbing to societal expectations, to the system, so to speak, really not even trying to set any kind of bigger goals or dreams for themselves whatsoever because they feel like they have no power or they feel like they have no agency. So they are living unconsciously within the system. That is what it looks like to be asleep in the 3D. Once you go through a spiritual awakening, often what this does is it pushes you into a higher level of consciousness while you're still existing in the 3D, in a more third dimensional reality. So what this looks like is you begin to wake up to the system. You begin to realize, wait a second, I've been giving my power away, and I actually have the ability to change myself, to change my life, to affect real change in my world or in the world. And you begin to realize your own power. But since you're still operating from that 3D mindset and mentality, you believe that the only way you can really affect this change is through concentrated effort, through force, through control, through essentially sheer willpower. And that is why manifesting from the 3D often feels like perpetual burnout, where yes, you will achieve certain kinds of results, and that can be very exciting in and of itself, but you will also feel like you're kind of constantly fighting against a current. And so it can feel really exhausting, especially at the physical level, but you kind of train yourself to continue pushing through that exhaustion when you're operating at the 3D level. Now, the gift of manifesting in the 3D is that it does give you your first taste of agency. You realize that you do have the ability to shift outcomes in your life, and you begin to reclaim that power and reclaim that sense of control, which most people never even take that first step in this lifetime. They live unconsciously within the system for their whole life. However, at some point, when you're manifesting in the 3D, as your level of consciousness continues to rise, and for many of you, I may be describing this whole journey that you've already been through. I feel like some of you are listening to this just like nodding your head like, yeah, I was there. I woke up in the system. I burnt out trying to manifest in the 3D. And then what happens, as I'm sure you're familiar with, is you shift up into a higher state of consciousness. That's when you typically begin to access deeper truths about the universe. Often this is when people come into contact with material spiritually related to manifestation, related to the law of attraction, the law of assumption. This is where often people begin to meditate or create other daily manifestation rituals and routines and begin to really specifically define their dreams and their goals, and then do specific manifestation processes to kind of force those outcomes in the energetic realm. And often you do start to see positive shifts and results from this. And that begins to create this feedback loop in your own mind where you begin to realize, wait a second, I can leverage the energy of the universe to change the fabric of my reality. I don't have to use pure force, pure physical action or control. I also have access to this energetic leverage that can bring about results even more quickly and in ways that would look miraculous to other people as I learn to mold the energy. Now, obviously, this comes with a massive benefit because the gift of 4D manifestation is you discover that energetic leverage and you realize that your inner state directly shapes your outer experience, which is a necessary stepping stone and a necessary realization for you to have to then create the foundation, the launch pad, so to speak, from which you can then launch into more of a fifth dimensional level of consciousness. So eventually, as you are continuing to again rise in consciousness, to develop deeper levels of spiritual wisdom, often in the 4D, this comes through collecting a lot of information, reading or absorbing a lot of different spiritual ideas or materials, and then applying them and becoming very strict with your manifestation routines. But ultimately, you begin to get more in tune with your own inner compass, with your inner intuition, with your personal energy, and what it feels like when you're in flow versus when you're forcing. And you become more in tune with this in a natural way. It's like you become more attuned to your own inner rhythms and cycles and this flow happening within you that doesn't come in like a one-size-fits-all sort of model where you can just take any manifestation technique and then force it on your kind of energy and make it work. You find that there is a certain type of burnout even when you're using manifestation techniques where you can actually feel spiritually burnt out or emotionally burnt out from constantly feeling like you're defining all of the details of your manifestations. It's like you begin to realize, yes, I can create these specific outcomes, even sometimes in specific timings, but something about doing that begins to kind of exhaust you. And sometimes you feel like you're forcing outcomes into place or trying to push things into place, as opposed to aligning with this higher energy that's trying to move your life in more harmonious ways. And the awareness of that higher energy trying to move your life gets you in touch with more of a fifth dimensional state of consciousness that begins to shift you into this state that allows you to manifest from the 5D, which is all about quantum embodiment and flow. So manifesting in the 5D is the art of becoming an energetic match for your highest timeline, not through force or mental discipline, but through embodiment, play, and more of a surrendered alignment. So this is where you really stop obsessing over the specifics of how your manifestations need to look, who is going to show up, exactly what timing it's going to happen in, and instead you begin to trust the frequency to lead you. So you're no longer micromanaging outcomes. More so, you're anchoring into this feeling within yourself, this knowing. And from that deep place of knowing that you lock in internally, you then are allowing everything else to meet you in that energy. Now, the thing about manifesting from the 5D and why it's difficult to sustain this energy, not impossible, and many of you listening are walking this balancing act and learning how to sustain this more fifth dimensional energy and frequency, even when many people around you don't necessarily understand it because they may be in more of a 3D or 4D state. But the reason it can be so difficult is it requires a huge amount of trust, because essentially you have to trust through the periods of time where things seem to be in a void, where things seem to be still. You have to trust that there is still magic that is unfolding for you behind the scenes that you just can't visibly see yet. And you also have to trust that if you let go of the specifics of the timing, of the details of what your manifestations need to look like, and focus on the energy of how you want them to feel, how you want your highest timeline to feel, what that looks like energetically for you, what that feels like in your body, and you create that feeling within yourself. When you manifest from the 5D, you're trusting that the feeling will bring the result naturally. And that not only that, but what manifests from that feeling will all happen in a timing and an alignment and an order that perfectly harmonizes with the highest state of being imaginable for you, and in a way that is very comprehensive. In essence, that harmonizes with every area of your life. So from a 5D perspective, nothing is disconnected. Everything is integrated. So how you feel, for example, about your physical body, the love and the care and the nourishment you show yourself physically reflects in, for example, your business or your career or your financial reality. And everything is connected in that way. That's just one specific example. But in 5D, you begin to realize that how you feel about one area of your life, when you shift that feeling, when you do the healing work in that one area of your life to shift yourself into a higher energy and a better feeling place, you're actually raising the tide, so to speak, in all areas of your life. It's like high tides raise all boats, in the sense that when you heal one point of pain or one wound or one shadow in a specific area of your life from this fifth dimensional perspective, it actually opens floodgates of success and abundance and fulfillment in all other areas of your life as well, because everything is connected. Everything has to rise together. But that also means that when things manifest from a 5D perspective, they manifest in a way that is harmonious with all of your desires in all areas of your life. It takes into account everything that you desire, everything you intend, everything you want, even desires you may be unconscious of or never named out loud, never even defined for yourself. Everything is taken into account when you're manifesting from a fifth dimensional perspective. So it's a really beautiful way to manifest once you reach this level of consciousness, because it's more deeply fulfilling at all levels and layers. It includes all aspects and areas of your life. But again, it requires a huge amount of surrender as well. And many people around you are operating from a lower dimension, from the 3D or the 4D still dominantly. So they are not necessarily going to understand why you are trusting in the stillness, why you are like here in this void, just knowing that things are unfolding for you, holding the frequency of them, continuing to do the inner work, continuing to be in that flow state to create that ease within yourself without necessarily knowing in a concrete way how or when it's going to unfold in the physical. But I'm getting that if this reading has been connecting for you, the reason that you've attracted this reading is because you've been calling in a deeper level of conscious understanding of something that you've known intuitively and subconsciously for quite some time now, because you've already been doing this. You've already been leaning more into this 5D way of operating and manifesting. So I feel that you called through the information in this reading to simply give you more of a conscious basis for what's going on, for what you already know, so that you can keep moving forward, trusting your intuition through all of this with confidence. So I didn't expect to go so deep into that 3D versus 4D versus 5D manifestation, but I really hope that reached whoever needed to hear it. I really feel like someone or a group of people manifested that information from me through this video. So do let me know in the comments if you feel you manifested that information through the video today. Of course, I consider all of these readings to really be co-creations. So thank you for co-creating here along with me. And if you do want the full breakdown and information on 3D versus 4D versus 5D, do check out the pinned post on my Instagram. That's where all of the info is in a very concrete kind of form. Okay, yeah, you are in the middle of a transformation with the death card reversed, a totally new way of being. I'm hearing no longer repeating old patterns. Can I get any more information on this? Okay, we have the Four of Cups in the upright position. Yeah, you may be feeling a sense of being in a void, almost like you're disconnected or like there's this emptiness in your life, not a negative emptiness, but just this sense of like a void space. But I'm hearing this is the fertile void. This is where the magic happens with the Nine of Wands in the reverse position and the Two of Wands. Yeah, you have the inner resources to handle this. You have the foundation within yourself. I'm also picking up on a very determined soul. Someone who I'm hearing you never allowed the dream to die within you. Even though whoever I'm picking up on here, you've had some kind of fire within you or a dream or a goal or something that made you stand out, something about you that always made you stand out, and you couldn't help but Maybe it's something literally about like your appearance or your personality or your hobbies, your persona, your energy. I'm hearing it was a mark on you that made you stand out. For others of you, this was a dream that you had or a goal or like a way you wanted to exist in the world or live your life or something you wanted to do. The people around you, I'm hearing not only did they not understand, but you had people around you who actually actively like ridiculed this part of you or tried to get you to hide it or bury it or to be ashamed of it. But you never did. You never allowed that fire to go out within you. You kept that dream alive against all odds. And I'm getting that now, because you've had the courage to do that, there is a powerful opportunity opening up for you to fulfill what my guides are really calling here a lifelong dream. I don't know who I'm speaking to here, but it feels like you have some kind of a lifelong dream, something that you've been wanting to express or share or do, or some part of yourself that has always marked you and always been part of you that you were often ridiculed for, but it's actually a part of you that is meant to be shared on a global scale, that's meant to be shared with the world. And there's some opportunity now opening up for you to do that, is what I'm picking up on here. But the thing is, there's a part of you wondering if you're too late, if you already missed the boat. There's something about timing here where you may be feeling as though it's too late, like you waited too long, maybe in terms of Earth years or your age or something like that. But what I'm picking up on here is your timeline defies societal expectations, but it's perfect for you. And the reason it's perfect for you is because the reason you were delayed in your timing from a human perspective, you weren't really delayed, but the reason it feels like you were delayed is because everything up until this point was a preparation for you. And if you trace things back, you can see that the whole time you've been keeping this dream or this part of you alive, you've also been very slowly and gradually, but steadily being prepared to take this dream public, to put it out into the world in some way. It's like you've gone through this masterclass of preparation through the life that you've lived so far. I'm hearing every experience in your life, even things that felt like detours or seemed very mundane, you can trace it back and see how it activated something within you or taught you something. I'm hearing it's like part of your spiritual resume. Even things that felt really irrelevant, like why did I have to work at that job? Or why did I have to meet that person or go through that like friendship or family situation or have that happen in my life? I feel like there are many things in your life that felt almost nonsensical or like they didn't really correspond in a coherent way with other aspects and areas of your life. But on an energetic level, those experiences were not just random. Every single experience, every single pathway, every single seeming detour that you've gone down so far was part of your spiritual masterclass of personal preparation to create the foundation that is now a launch pad for you, that is allowing you to push off and fly into some kind of full-blown realization of a lifelong dream that you've been holding within yourself. And you're being advised to go for it, to take the leap, to put yourself out there in this way with the Fool card in the reverse position, to jump when this opportunity presents itself. And maybe for some of you, it is opening up or presenting itself right now. You're being guided to trust your intuition as you jump into it and not to doubt yourself. Because again, everything so far has literally been preparing you for this, even those things in your life that completely felt like detours. So wow, this reading has been strange but powerful, very unexpected. And if it is connecting for you, leave me a comment. I would love to hear about your path, your story, things that you're doing and creating in your life. I am so honored to be part of this community that we're creating here on YouTube together. And I'm so grateful to all of you here, especially those of you who have been listening for so many months or years now and literally walking this journey along with me. I really feel that the energy behind what we are creating here together, that we're all a part of in our own personal ways, is really creating this ripple effect collectively that is changing the frequency of the planet. And I'm so happy that you're here being part of that, doing whatever powerful work it is that you are doing here on planet Earth. I see you. I love you. I honor you on your own journey. And I am so excited to see what the future holds next for this space, for our channel, for you personally. I can't wait to hear updates on your own life as you share your journey with me as well. And yeah, I really feel like I've reached the end of this channeling session, so I don't know what's going to show up in the extended. I will just be spontaneously letting whatever wants to channel through that reading come through. It's going to be very open-ended. If you do want to join me in that, like I said at the beginning, the links to join are in the pinned comment and description. But otherwise, I'm going to leave this first reading here. Have an amazing remainder of your day. And as always, I will connect with you here again in Wednesday's collective reading.